Alright, so if you just start by letting me know your name, where you're from, what you're representing, we'll go from there.
My name is Reg Flowers, and I currently live in Brooklyn, but I'm setting up a base here in Detroit on the east side.
Cool. And how did you hear about this conference? What made you decide to participate?
Oh man, so I heard about the conference. I've been in touch with the Bog Center, Rich Feldman, since I started trying to develop a base here in Detroit. I wanted to reach out to people in the community, so I reached out to a lot of arts organizations and some social justice organizations, and Rich got back with me, and so through conversations with him, I've gotten sort of more and more involved in what's happening, and so I was invited. I found out that it was going to be happening. I was also interested in the Allied Media Conference, and so the two things were happening together, so it was the perfect time for me to come to Detroit for a couple of weeks.
So what were some of the highlights for you of the week?
Wow. I would definitely say the highlight for me is they moved their regular Reflection Friday so that it would coincide with the conference, and so I got to sit in a circle with people who have been engaged in conversations about the future of Detroit and organizing and resistance to counterculture for a long time, and folks who were coming from other communities and were interested in engaging in that conversation. And it was beautiful because the conversations end up really being about people's personal experiences. So it was really moving, and there was a lot of information shared and practices and pearls of wisdom from folks who've been part of the movement for a long time. So that was one highlight. And the other highlight was having Shay Howell, who is a longtime community organizer, turn to me at one point and say that based on something that I had said, that she was going to change, she was going to demilitarize her language. And so that really blew me away. I felt like, wow, I had some impact here, you know, so yeah.
Are there any stories from the week that you think you're going to find yourself telling over and over again?
Yes, probably that one. I'll probably tell the story about when I sat around a table with an intergenerational group that included some kids who were part of a high school, and they'd come to spend a day as part of Detroit 20... they're chopping wood as part of Detroit 2012, and they were asked to start imagining the future that they wanted for their communities, and the things that were shared were so powerful and so beyond what I thought could come out of a group of young people. So that's something that I'll share with a lot of folks. You know, I don't know. I mean, you can't share. I'm like getting emotional now just about the number of times that I've been moved. There was a Stop the Violence rally that I was a part of on Saturday, yesterday, which is the Saturday of the conference, the second Saturday of the conference, and was just blown away by being a part of something that's, you know, usually a tactic that's used on a large scale, but this is something that was really focused on a community. So that's something that I definitely would like to share, and probably lots and lots of an Invincible show, which was awesome, and I hope to see it go all over. Yeah, so that.
Are there any tensions or kind of struggles that you've been working through this week that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I like one of them. I just like personally in my organizing, I am discovering that, you know, there's a difference between like mobilizing the community and like creating a mob. And so and it even came up in the documentary, Grace Lee Boggs' documentary, when they were looking at the aftermath of the rebellions in Detroit, and the rebellions that are called riots by some, and how after that initial burst of energy, how people started to be distrustful of each other, like of the capacity for violence, I suppose. And so that's something that I'd been struggling with before I came, and to have that sort of emerge as a theme and a concern, I think was really important. But also just being aware that even within our movement, there still are groups that may not be comfortable, may not really have a full voice, may still be marginalized, and I kind of consider myself one of those groups as a gay African American. That's a minority within. I don't even want to use the minority, but that's a group that's sort of marginalized. That's marginalized within the marginalized group that we've created. So that's a struggle.
I want to ask you, this one's a little off the cuff question, but I've heard you over the course of the week use sort of talking about the movement, or sort of referring to, like, I've been hearing a call in the movement for more arts. I've been hearing, and it sounds like you've been sort of reflecting on, like, sort of the larger movement. And I was wondering if how your thoughts have developed on sort of the state of the movement, sort of the time on the clock of the world for the movement this week.
It's interesting because I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago that was looking at grassroots economic development, and then I was at the Allied Media Conference, and now here at Detroit 2013, and repeatedly throughout those conferences, speaker after speaker talked about the need for us to start to develop our creative capacity. And I sit there and I think, wow, this is great. There really is space for me, not just through my willingness to participate in a social justice movement, whatever form that's taking, but that perhaps it's not about me putting aside my trivial artistic pursuits or creative pursuits, but that there seems to be a call for me to bring all of that with me and even move it towards the center. And so I really do feel like there is a deep desire from many of the folks who have been the voice of the movement to get really creative, and I think it has something to do with our evolution. If there's going to be the evolutionary leap that's necessary to basically save the planet, that we gotta get cracking on, like, who could we be, and then start being that. So yeah, I feel like that's where we are. We're at the place where we need to take a huge leap forward, and that it will require us to imagine something about ourselves that we've never imagined before.
Any creative ideas that have hit you this week?
Goodness. New creative ideas? Wow. I guess the most creative idea, and it's a little far-fetched, I'm going to put it out there, is that we need to start embracing, like, the queer aesthetic, whatever that is, the thing that makes this marginalized group of people have such a huge impact on our sort of world aesthetics view, and that may be stepping into that may be like, what is a hornet's nest, but I had that feeling. I was stripping the walls in my house, and I was just thinking, wow, this old broken down house, and I've just scraped some paint off the walls, and I put some, applied a little bit of paint here, and it went from being a burned out mess to a place that I feel is kind of beautiful. And I think that we need to start doing that, like appreciating our ability to do that, instead of, gut renovating things, like seeing, like, how can we do as little as possible to create the type of transformation that we want to see.
So one final question. If people were thinking about coming to Detroit 2014, what would you tell them?
Get your ass here. Get here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.